No, it's good.
I was going to buy one at the track, but all they had was hats with numbers on it. And I was like, I don't, like, what am I going to do with this? They're all leaving.
That'll be an antique after this year.
I've got a couple 14. I wore my red Old Spice hat with like the tread marks on it, or it
Hmm.
looks like tread marks. I wore that one
Who are you
from
pulling for?
my Walker asked me that, and I told him I was just watching
That's fair.
anybody driving a Ford except for Joey Logano, and he
Uh,
won.
Joey Logano.
My dad, my my dad said we were sitting there, and he said, "God, it couldn't have been anybody else. Why couldn't it have been anybody else but him?" I said, "Even Bubba Wallace." He was like, "Well, anybody but those two."
But see, I was screaming at the TV saying anybody but Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I've tried to go back and watch part of it. I didn't even notice he was in the race until the last stage. I didn't
Oh
even
yeah,
see him.
he was right up there in the mix.
And I didn't know until this afternoon what was on the track there at the end of the race. Apparently, it
Oh
was a
yeah,
Walmart sign.
Walmart. Yeah,
That ought to be my hater and loser of the week.
yeah.
All right. This is the Section YY8 podcast. We've been talking NASCAR with special guest, pro golfer Jake Mynatt is with Harb. Where are you boys coming from? It's not Harb's usual location. Where are you boys at?
We are in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Oh, home of the Intimidator.
Yes,
You got that right.
absolutely. In the shadows of beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. Fun fact, the golf course that Jake's playing this week, we got to 9 tee box. It's right on a beautiful lake. And across the main channel, there's a boat dock. And he said, "You see that dock right there?" I said, "Yeah, Jake." And he said, "That was Dale Senior's at one point." So that was kind
Really?
of cool. Yeah, for an extremely uh, novice NASCAR fan, that was cool.
Yeah. That's the rumor. That's what he owned at one point in his life.
Well, he liked to fish, so it wouldn't surprise
Yeah,
me.
no, that's a beautiful, beautiful property.
When you get Harbin into NASCAR, Jake,
Um,
get him watching every week.
but he pulls for one of the most hated drivers I just cannot get behind whatsoever.
Who's your driver, Harb?
Well, there's reasoning behind it, and this is very Jeff Harbin of me. Just pulling for the guy that everybody hates. I'm a Denny Hamlin guy.
I don't mind Hamlin, to be honest.
Listen, on the way down here, I got to listen to Denny Hamlin's podcast after the Austin Dillon incident. Dude has a great podcast.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
a very good podcast.
I'll
not,
give him that. It is good.
yeah, which this is where my knowledge lacks, but what he does on or off the racetrack, I'm not very well versed in. I've heard he's slightly chicken shit, and that may be true. But it's just funny to me that he's a Jordan Brand athlete and he's a race car driver. So that's part of the reason that I kind of liked him to begin with. And my buddies that like NASCAR don't like him, so
I
it's
know
kind
a
of made it
lot of
easier.
people. I know a lot of people that watch NASCAR that do not like Denny Hamlin.
And I drive a Tundra, so I got to pull for the Toyota guy.
There, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, he hung out in the back all day long on Sunday. So for those that don't know, we're recording a little later than normal because my dad and I and our buddy Walker and his nephew Parker, we went down to the race in Atlanta Motor Speedway. They're south of downtown, and we didn't get back till really late Sunday night. So um, it was fun, but Denny Hamlin was out in the back most of the day, and we thought it was because he had changed spark plug wires or some kind of wiring in his car, but it wasn't. He just hung out in the back all day trying to avoid a wreck. And what happened at the end? He was in a wreck. So,
That's not like him for a track like that, especially Atlanta, Daytona, Talladega. He's right up there in the mix.
yeah, it's very odd. But shout out to Walker for driving us down there in his Cadillac. Um, He got us down there safely. I will say that we came back in record time. And I think he thought he was driving in the race at Atlanta as fast as he was going that night. So he was not saving fuel. Let's put it that way. He wasn't just, Jake, he wasn't just riding around.
No.
So, all right. We're going to try to do this as fast as possible because Jake's got a tea time in the morning. Very quickly, tell us where y'all are at. You told us we're in Charlotte. Where are you playing? What's the event? What's going on?
Yeah, so we're over in Kannapolis, like Harp said, playing in pre-Q. It's called Q School for those that don't know. And there's like, for me, it's going to be 4 stages: pre-Q, first stage, second stage, third stage. And you got to finish certain position on the leaderboard to move on to the next one. So I want to say for this one, we're kind of looking around T35, top 35th and higher to move on to the first stage. So, but it's a good course. We've had a good couple of days of practice, so I think we're going to be ready.
Oh, absolutely. This is PGA Q School, for those that have no idea. So, how this works is it's survive and advance, the old Jimmy V. You don't have to win. Obviously, winning helps. You don't have to. But the further you get along, the further it helps with getting status on the PGA affiliated tours, whether that be the Latin Americas, the Canadian, the Corn Ferry, or the actual PGA Tour. So,
Kind of sounds like the NASCAR playoffs.
Yeah, this is
Survive in
probably the
advance.
equivalent of to explain it in NASCAR terms. I guess the PGA Tour Americas, like Latin America and Canada, that would be the Truck Series. And Corn Ferry, it's the Xfinity Series, and PGA Tour is obviously the Cup Series.
There you go. There you go. What's the ARCA series?
That's what I'm playing on right now. It's called the G Pro.
Okay. Okay. We won't go any lower than that. So,
No.
well, is there a place we can follow like live scoring or check the scores or anything? Do you know?
There's a link. I'll send it to Harb. He can send it out, or I'll send it to you, and
We might
we'll figure it out.
post it since you're our guest this week. We'll post it for everybody to.
I'm waiting on a hat, niece.
hey, we'll put
We
it
ain't
in
got
the
no
comments.
hats.
We'll put it in the comment section of the YouTube page. Go check out our YouTube page.
There you
While you're there,
go.
go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't.
Yes. There you go, Harb. That's why you're on
And
here.
if you have, unlike and unsubscribe, and then like and subscribe again.
And last question, is your caddy dialed in?
Oh yeah, we're dialed in. So
Yeah.
fun fact, the rangefinder died about halfway through the practice round today. So we got dialed in stepping yardages off.
There you go.
But we can use rangefinders this week. So we went the extra mile.
One of my before we get started, just really quick, one of my hidden talents, which if you've played golf with me, I may or may not have done this before. I'm kind of a human rangefinder. My depth perception is top tier. It's kind of silly. There's another word that I almost used, but it would have been very pretentious. But yeah, the rangefinder died, and it was no big deal.
Yeah,
You had to do it the old way.
Absolutely, the traditional way, the Augusta National way.
Dark side in Justice League. When Steppenwolf failed him, what did he say? I'll do it the old way. Sometimes you got to do it the old way.
Hey, the old way worked for years. Why can't it work now?
Touche. All right, let's talk. Let's talk Tennessee, NC State. I don't know, is dominate the right word for this game from Tennessee's perspective?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I made just a few notes here, and then we'll let you all chime in. But I have Vols dominate in all caps, the Wolfpack. Tennessee's front seven had their way, which was something that you, Harbin, brought up that you would like to see. I think your question may have been answered. The defense was outstanding. Nico was good, not great. He was efficient, very good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say very good. He was just good.
I would say he was very good, personally. I would.
And the other thing I thought was very good was the running game, both run blocking and the running backs. Only thing I worry about is they need to get Cam Selden back just for depth I
For
don't
sure.
know. I mean, Deshaun Bishop was good. We didn't really see Peyton Lewis till the game was already over with. Um, but having Cam Seldon back, and I didn't even know he was injured until they came on the air. I hadn't read anything about it, but anyways, they need to get him back just for a depth standpoint because I'm worried that if something happened to Sampson, that they could be in trouble at that position. There's just not much depth, not much proven depth at that position, but
There's
yeah.
not. I remember somebody on Twitter before the season started made a joke, but like the old saying goes, with all good jokes contain a little bit of truth. Where Dylan Sampson pulled Hammy away from kind of being in oh shit mode, which Dylan Sampson was incredible. 20 rushes, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Can't really ask for much more out of the kid. We did miss Cam Seldon, and hopefully, I don't need to see him against Kent State if it's a lingering issue. I don't need to see him against them. That can be hell. I don't even need to see Dylan Sampson, be 100% honest with you. But I think he's fine. So send him out there for first half. I'm totally fine with that being the Carnes Beaver show. Totally fine with that. But yeah, we do need Cam Seldon back. But what were your biggest takeaways from the game? Maybe a surprise or two, but also just biggest takeaways from what you saw.
Two big takeaways for me, and I think this has been repeated at nausea by a lot of people. The defense. I didn't know what to expect out of the defense this year because it did not. I made no bones about it at the end of the season last year. The defense was not very good. Now, they played well against Vandy, but that was Vandy. Played really well against Iowa. Not a great offense. Played well last week against UTC. Again, it's UTC. But I think this week, say what you will about NC State, they're a Power 5 team, probably middle to upper part of their conference, and Tennessee just flat out dominated them defensively. They had 2 drives pretty much the whole game. One of them was the first drive where they went down and did nothing. Another one was when they kicked a field goal. I think it was in the second quarter, maybe.
Yeah.
So that was it. I mean, they did nothing. And I think I mentioned at one point, I may have tweeted it, that Tennessee was absolutely flying to the football. I mean, I hadn't seen a Tennessee team play defense like that in a long time, where it seemed like everything NC State was trying to do, Tennessee was right there on top of it. I thought the front 7 played really well. They got, besides a couple of drives, they got quite a bit of pressure on McCall, and the secondary did a pretty good job on Concepcion, or whatever you say, however you say his name. They did nothing. The other thing was our tight ends. I'd been hearing that they were going to try to run more 2 tight end sets, and they absolutely, I don't know the percentage. I heard somebody mention it the other day. It was really high, the amount of 2 tight end sets we used. And we haven't really been able to do that since Josh Heupel's been here, because he hadn't had the personnel to do it. He's got it now. So that was cool to see and encouraging. So that was my 2 big takeaways. The tight ends, how they performed, and the defense, just how overwhelming they were against NC State. Now, how does that, what's that going to be like when they play Alabama or Georgia? That remains to be seen. But NC State's probably going to be right in there with, and they're probably a hair better than Arkansas. They're better than Florida. I would venture to say, from what I've read, they might be better than Oklahoma offensively, because I've heard Oklahoma is not very good offensively. I haven't got to watch or look into them as much, but I think Tennessee's defense plays like that, they're going to be tough to beat the rest of the season. And they're definitely, I text Walker, I brought him up a minute ago. he gets on me all the time because I always say Tennessee's a contender for the national title in basketball, and I said it in baseball, and I fired it Saturday night before the game was over. Tennessee's a playoff contender. They absolutely are a playoff contender. So he disagreed. He said, I want to see him play an SEC team first, but I don't know who they're going to play besides an Oklahoma or a Georgia or a Florida that will prove that. But I think NC State's better than Florida. They're probably better than Arkansas. I don't know. Arkansas looks pretty good right now. But that was my takeaways, Harb.
Alabama will also prove that. I think you just kind of forgot about them for a second.
Yes.
But my biggest takeaways from the game, because on the last episode, you remember I said that the front seven looked semi-underwhelming against UTC. And there was a lot of factors of hand in that. We dropped 7 or 8 almost every play. James Pierce Jr. only played 10 snaps against UTC. The front seven looked as good as advertised, if not better, against NC State. I was talking with Bobby Stanton, friend of the show, on Sunday. And I was asking him his thoughts. And he's a little bit older than I am, just by a couple of years.
Few years.
Yeah, just a couple. And he kind of gave a wild take, and I didn't care to fact check him on it, but it's a little bit of a wild take.
Let's hear it.
He said, Harv, let me tell you something. This might be the best D line I've ever seen wear orange. And I was like, Bobby, that's a big statement.
That's a big, big statement.
And he said, I know it is, but the depth that we have and how big and fast and strong they are, he's like, usually when our star player comes out, you can tell he's like, when James Pierce Jr. comes out, like, you can't really,
Oh, Lordy.
We're still getting back there, wreaking havoc. I'm gonna say ran 104 passing yards on 15 attempts. They went 15 of 22 in the air, but a lot of those, they kind of took what completions. And that first drive, they probably got 60 yards on the first drive. It ate up 7 or 8 minutes off the clock, and they got absolutely nothing out of it. If you take that away, they gained roughly 85, 90 yards for the whole game. The front seven is absolutely legit.
I'm going to pull up the drive chart here. While I'm doing that, we lost you there for about 25 seconds or so. I heard you. You sounded like a robot and your screen froze, but then you came back. So I don't know what it'll sound like on the version that goes online, but you don't have to go back and repeat yourself. I think we get the gist of what you're saying.
Well, I'll repeat a little bit of it.
Okay.
North Carolina State ran for 39 yards on 28 attempts. They threw for 100, which a lot of those were check downs, and they took what we gave them. And we wreaked havoc. Grayson McCall did not look comfortable, especially after that first drive. Defense is legit. It is, especially the front seven. I think the front seven is going to make life on the secondary easier this year. I do.
So that first NC State drive, they had the ball for 12 plays and went 29 yards in 6 minutes and 49 seconds, if I'm reading this correctly.
They only went 29 yards.
That can't be right. It says consumed plays and yards 12-29. TOP, time of possession 6:49. I don't know.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Anyway, they didn't do nothing with it. I think they converted 3 first downs that drive, and then they didn't convert another one until May. I don't think they converted another one the rest of the game.
Third downs, they were 3 for 12.
So they didn't. They get all 3 third down conversions were on the first drive of the game.
And we went 7 of 14 on third down, which is good or pretty good, I would say. 1 for 1 on fourth. I thought Nico looked good. I'm not going to be like one of those others and say, oh, he looked like the Messiah. He's the second coming. Like I do acknowledge my tribal chief. 100% acknowledge my tribal chief. But I do think the first interception was 50-50. Like it was the right read, bad timing. If I believe it was DeBrew, if he makes a play on the ball, he probably tips it, and it's not a pick, but he didn't. And the second one, man, he got bum rushed as he threw it, and it went straight up in the air. You can't really take that away from him. Yeah, it looked good. Overall, in my opinion, I give that an A game. Which is funny because I think we played our B game and won by 41.
I was about to say, I don't even think we played all that well and won by 41 points.
No, but when you win 51-10, it is very hard to throw a B rating on that game unless you're playing Tennessee School of the Blind.
Jake, what did you think about it?
I mean, y'all basically said everything. I mean, I think our front seven played phenomenal. And I think because our front seven played so good, I don't think our secondary's been tested all that much just yet. We haven't really seen a whole lot of passes downfield. On some of the plays that the ball was thrown, I think McCoy, he made some good plays. But, I mean, we're solid all the way around. Quarterback play, rushing game. Like I said, the first interception, or was it the second one? Might have been the second one where he got hit. He got rushed. Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was necessarily his fault. He just got pressured. But if our front seven's putting pressure on the opposing quarterback, it takes a whole lot of stress off our secondary. And I agree. Solid all the way around is what I'd say.
We had 9 guys. This goes back to the UTC game. We had 9 players catch a pass. We had 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Brazel, Sampson, and Kitzelman caught 3 passes. Squirrel White 2. Ethan Davis 2. Both tight ends. Brew McCoy 1. Caleb Webb 1. Thornton Jr., who we thought had a coming out party against UTC, he had 0 catches for 0 yards. Squirrel White led the way with 67 yards, 45 yards on one of them. But distributing the ball evenly across the board. But I guess the big star was Dylan Sampson, 20 carries, 138 yards, like you said, Harbin, and 2 touchdowns. So I thought a very efficient night offensively. Still some things to work on for Nico. It was a learning experience for him. His first big time opponent, if you want to call it that, in a bigger atmosphere, sold out crowd, Charlotte Panthers Stadium. So I thought it was great all the way around for Tennessee. We all picked the game and picked Tennessee to cover. I think Harb, you were a little more like, yeah, it'll be kind of tight, a little close, and then they'll pull away. And I said Tennessee will be ahead 10, 14 points, and they'll pull away. It was never like that. It was 10-3. Will Brooks got that interception, and it was done. It was over with at the half. I mean, it's done.
And Kitzelman had a touchdown get called back too. That
right,
kind of iffy on if it should or not, but
I looked
big night for him.
I went back and watched. I'm not a referee. I know a lot about the rules of football. I just don't think that was a lineman downfield.
No,
there was no intent there. If he was jogging down the field and was 3, 4, 5 yards, I mean, his head was barely over the line of scrimmage. I mean, it was ticky-tack at best, but anyways, we scored anyways, whatever. All right. So Kent State is bad, Harbin. Is that right? They're not
Very,
good.
very bad.
So what are we looking for this weekend? What do you want to see out of Tennessee hosting the Golden Flashes?
I want to see the starters play 30 minutes of football. That's the number one thing. I just want to see execution, really. Do what you need to do, and then pretty much let it look exactly like the Chattanooga game. I'm not saying we have to win by 66 for it to be a success. But in my mind, I think Chattanooga may be just as good as Kent State, if not better. They're obviously way better at their level. But yeah, Kent State after this, or hang on. Yeah, Kent State after that's play at Penn State.
We're losing Harb again. Are you there, Harbin? Well, hopefully he'll come back in here in a second. And they'll get their audio. What I'm looking for, kind of like what Harbin said, with this. Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Harbin? Technical difficulties over there in Kannapolis, North Carolina. While we're working on that, I'll give you my take here quickly. Tennessee hosting Kent State this Saturday. They're not very good, like Harb said. I'd like to see the starters come in, play well, play efficiently, like Harbin said, do what they need to do, try to stay injury free, and get the heck out of there. Get the starters out, and then get some of the backup players like a Deshaun Bishop, a Peyton Lewis at running back, some of those guys, some of the younger offensive linemen, get them in there and let them get a lot of work in the second half. But that means the first team's got to take care of business early on. They don't need to let Kent State, it doesn't need to be 24-10 at halftime or something like that. They need to come out and just finish it, get some things right for next week, because they got a big challenge week after next at Oklahoma, and we'll talk about that next week. But go ahead and say your piece again there, Harb. You got cut off there. You froze on me.
No, you're good. That would probably be the Comfort Inn and Suites Wi-Fi that we're on. I took it off and we're on 5G now.
Nice.
What I was saying was I just want the starters to play 30 minutes. Then after that, let it be the Gaston Moore and Merklinger show. Just execution, do what you need to do. Put up 40 in the first half, and then coast after that. I know the spread's 49 and we've joked about it already. Just get out of there with no injuries, nothing crazy. Like I said earlier, I don't care if I see Cam Seldon. If his injury is lingering enough, we don't need him against Kent State. We are going to need him against Oklahoma. Yeah, just come out and take care of business, for lack of a better term. Get shit done, get in, get out, don't get hurt, get on the plane and go to Norman. I'm not trying to look ahead, but let's not do anything too crazy here, Maybe sat pat a little, just a hair, maybe. That's about it.
Kind of do what I used to do on college football, the older games when I would do the seasons and stuff. You're playing FCS Southeast. Let's go play that game and put up some Heisman numbers.
Right.
Florida used to do it all the time at the start of the season, so why not us? So, all right.
They just did it this past week.
Yeah, true. Well, I know you guys have got to go, so let's get into the picks. We're gonna move right in from NC State game what we're looking for at Kent State. If you're down there this weekend, and we'll get to that in a minute, I'll fill you in on some details of where we'll be. Picks this week. So to recap last week, our guest came in and kicked us in the teeth, Harb. Tally, our guest picker, went 4-1. And let's see, the only game he lost was what game did he lose?
Do you take Mississippi State with me?
I haven't taken Arizona State. So I'm not sure if he missed a game. I'll have to go back and look at this. I may have missed something.
Well, hell, you originally had him 3-2 until I told you that you had the Arkansas Oklahoma State line wrong.
Hold on, I've got it here. I was looking at the wrong page. But Tally, I have him at 4-1. I have him losing. We all picked Kentucky, so that's the one we all lost that one. Yeah, but he went 4-1. He got Texas, Arkansas, Arizona State, Tennessee. Right, Harb. You went 2-3. You lost the Michigan, Kentucky, Mississippi State game. And I went 3-2. I lost the Oklahoma State game and the Kentucky game. I was confused because I texted you earlier in the week saying I had won the Oklahoma State game, because on our pick sheet that we play in that group with, there's 66 of us. I took Oklahoma State and won because it was 7.5 and they won by 8. I totally forgot it. Our line on here was 8.5. So that was on me. I was doing that Carter math. So this week's game, we'll go through them. You can talk about them if you want. And we'll go from there. So there's going to be 6. I'm throwing in a bonus game, which we'll get to at the end. First game is Alabama at Wisconsin. Alabama, as of this recording, -16 at Camp Randall. Will Alabama jump around at the end of the game, Harbin?
I've been talking for weeks about how this is a big test for Alabama. And especially because I think they have Georgia next week coming to Tuscaloosa. So there may be a little bit of a look over effect. With that being said, I'm going to use my head, not my heart here. I'm going to take Alabama -16. I do think it's a semi-entertaining game. But the problem is with Wisconsin, his name's escaping me. It's Van something, but it's the old quarterback from Miami. Miami was not good with him. I just don't think he's very good. I think Alabama wins by 17-20. I do think it's closer than that, but I think they end up winning, like kind of ish to the South Florida game. Like I think it's a semi game, but I do think Alabama pulls away, and I think they cover 16.
Jake, who you got?
See, I disagree with Harb on this one. I think I have Wisconsin in that game. Alabama struggled in the first half against USF this past week. Going on the road, playing a Big Ten team. Feel like you're going to play a little bit better than that. I know USF's not that great. However, I do think a Big Ten opponent on the road warrants a little bit more respect than 16-point favorites. I see it being around a 10-point game, 7 to 10-point game.
I've struggled with this game thinking about it. Seems like a lot of points, but Vegas also always gets it right most of the time.
They watch the game before you do.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, don't it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Wisconsin play at all this year. I don't know anything about Wisconsin. I'm going to go with Bama just because I don't know anything about Wisconsin. I'm going to reluctantly go with Bama because I do think this will be a close game. I just think Alabama's got too much talent for Wisconsin. And I think Alabama covers. I think they pull away late, like Harb said. But I think it could be a little hairy there for a while for the Crimson Tide. That's a tough place to play. I mean, I don't think Wisconsin's a lower tier Big Ten team by any means. I just don't know that they're what they were 10, 15 years ago. But always a tough place to play there at Camp Randall. So negative Nice is going with Bama. Next game, interesting matchup. Vegas doesn't seem to think it is, but I'm intrigued by it. Number 24, Boston College at number 6, Missouri. Missouri's 16.5-point favorites, Harbin. Who you got?
I don't want to say what I'm about to say, but this may be my lock of the week. Go ahead, write it down. Clown me if I'm wrong. Give me 10% if I'm right. I love the Golden Eagles of Boston College in this game.
Ooh.
I absolutely love them to cover. I think it's worth 0.2 of a unit on the money line. 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, whichever way you want to look at it, Boston College was 17.5-point underdogs on the road, which Florida State is god awful. We know that now. But they went in and pretty much dominated Florida State. And outside of quarterback play, Florida State's not necessarily a slouch. I think Boston College is pretty good. I really do. And I just don't know if Missouri is good enough to warrant giving 16.5 to a ranked opponent. I really don't. I don't know if Boston College wins. I think they lose a heartbreaker. I've got Missouri by 4-7 in this one, but I love Boston College to cover 16.5. That's my pick.
I'm also taking Boston College. I think their quarterback is pretty good. I'm not saying he's like a Heisman candidate or anything, but I think he's a good quarterback. I think they're better than people think. So I think that's a lot of points too. Missouri's not played anybody. They played Buffalo last week and won 38-0. And I don't know who they played week 1 and just blew out somebody. So they're very unproven. They've had 2 cupcake games to start the season. So this is a big test for them, but Vegas thinks it'll be another blowout. We'll see. I'm going to pick Boston College. I don't think they win, but I think they cover. Jake, who you got?
I also have Boston College. From the one game I really watched them play against Florida State, they look pretty good. I know Florida State is abysmal this year, but Bill O'Brien being at the helm, I think he's going to have those boys ready to play. I'm also taking Boston College.
The clean sweep. The Eagles take down the Tigers. All right.
If you want to make money, you may need to hammer Missouri since we
I was about to say.
Knowing our track record.
Well, so week 1 on my pick sheet, I didn't look into anything. Obviously, there was nothing to look into. And I went 8-4. Last week, I went 5-7 after a 3-0 start in an afternoon game. So take my opinion lightly. Next game, Texas A&M at Florida in the swamp. A&M minus 4.5. Well, you got Harbin.
It depends on what quarterback plays for Florida. I think it's going to be Lagway because he played so well against Samford. They may just keep rolling with him. It disgusts me to say this. I think Florida wins this game straight up.
Whoa.
I really
okay.
do. I really do. I'm taking Florida as my pick. I think they win this game. I know we hate them. I know we need to talk about how much they stink. But just from a pride standpoint and Billy Napier wanting to keep his job, this is one of those games for a program that you kind of need to win. And I'm not sold on A&M. They lost to Notre Dame, which we thought was a good game, but that is more so looking like a battle of straight mid. especially with Notre Dame's performance this past week. A&M is on year 5 of not having a quarterback? Year 4, whatever it is.
Something like that.
I don't know. This just feels like a game Florida wins. And they need the win for their program. So I think there's a little added extra fuel to that. So for that reason, I'm taking Florida on +4.5.
I'm taking Texas A&M. I don't think Florida's very good. I think they've got issues at quarterback. Only thing that gives me pause is it is at Ben Hill Griffin, and A&M's not terribly good at quarterback either. I think they're better than Florida, maybe right now. So I'm going to take A&M. Jake, who you got?
This is a coin flip game for me. I absolutely hate the University of Florida and everything it stands for. So my pride will not let me take the Florida Gators. I hate the fans of Texas A&M and their cult. I don't know. I feel like it's a lose-lose for everybody, but I will take A&M -4.5 just for prideful purposes because I can't stand Florida.
Fair enough. All right. This next game, I sent these to Harb. Harb, I don't know if you shared them with Mynatt or not, but I was trying to get, this is such a, it's almost like a video game matchup to me. Because, when you're playing EA Sports College Football and you get a certain way through, you can schedule your own opponents. And I don't know about everybody else, but back in the day, I would schedule like weird random teams and I'd go play them on the road just to see their stadium. This is one of those to me. Vanderbilt at Georgia State. Now, for those that don't know, Georgia State plays at Center Parc Stadium, which is formerly Turner Field, home of the Atlanta Braves. Still sitting there on 75, right south of downtown Atlanta, right next to where old Fulton County Stadium used to sit. You can kind of see that it used to be a baseball stadium. They've reconfigured the inside of it to make it kind of look like a football stadium, but it still looks like a baseball stadium to me. Still got the video board in center field. But we drove by it going to the race Saturday, and I was like, man, I kind of miss going to games there a little bit, even though it sucked trying to get in and out of there. But this game is being played there. So if you weren't familiar with that, there's your fun fact. Georgia State plays at an old Major League Baseball stadium. Vandy is -10 in this game. They're riding high, Harbin. They're 2-0. What do you think?
I'm not going to overthink this one. I think for Vandy standards, I think Vandy is pretty good this year. I really do. I think they're better than probably at least 2 teams in the SEC, maybe 3. I'm taking Vandy to cover. Feels weird saying that. Especially with them being a 10-point favorite to anybody besides the Carson Newman Eagles. Yeah, I think Vandy goes on the road to Georgia State, which is so funny to say, and gets things done. I just do. I think they go to 3-0.
That's crazy. I think I don't know what to think about this game. I think Vanderbilt definitely wins. I think it's maybe a close game back and forth, but I think Vandy ends up covering. I was looking at, and I pulled it up here just again to look at it. I was looking at Georgia State's schedule. They lost, I say at Georgia Tech. They played at Georgia Tech, but it's in this literally 10 minutes up. Well, depending on traffic in Atlanta, it's literally probably like 3 miles away from each other, but they lost 35-12. And then they beat Chattanooga last week, who Tennessee beat 69-3. They beat them 24-21. So they dropped down and played an FCS team and only beat them by a field goal. I obviously think Vandy's better than Chattanooga. I don't know what to make of that Georgia Tech score because Georgia Tech ended up losing to Syracuse last week. I'm taking Vandy -10, but I think it could be one of those games. What's the atmosphere like at that stadium? I wonder. I've never seen a game on TV there. I've never even seen highlights of it. Like, I know they've got the upper deck of Turner Field. You know, they've got those covers on it with logos. I can't imagine the atmosphere is that rowdy there, but it's going to be interesting to see what kind of crowd they have because it's Vanderbilt, yes, but it is an SEC opponent coming to town. So that's a big deal for that program. So I don't think it matters in the end, but something to keep your eye on. But I do think Vandy wins and covers. Jake, who you got?
I also take Vanderbilt this week. I don't know hardly anything about the Georgia State Panthers, but Vandy did look good against Tech. How good Tech is or Virginia Tech is, it's up in the air. Nobody really knows, I guess. But I'll take Vandy -10. I'm not sure what conference is Georgia State in.
I think they're in the Sun Belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for an SEC team to be playing a Sun Belt team and only be a 10-point favorite should tell you all you need to know about the state of your program, in my opinion.
Could be a raw. I'm surprised game day didn't go there.
No, I know.
Seeing where they actually went, which we'll
Where'd
get
they
to
go?
now. They are at our next game, LSU at South Carolina. They are there this Saturday.
That's where game day is?
And they announced it last Saturday during the Tennessee game. It popped up that that's where they were going. First time in like 10 years, they said.
They're going
So
to Columbia.
LSU, as of me putting in the lines and the spreads, they're -7.5 at Williams-Brice. So 2 weeks ago, South Carolina fans had enough of Shane Beamer. He stunk. They weren't ever going to go anywhere. And then lo and behold, it might be fool's gold, though. They pounded Kentucky last Saturday, 31-6 or 12 or something like that. I'll go ahead and pick. I'm taking LSU because I do not believe in South Carolina. I think Kentucky's terrible, and South Carolina played really well. How in the world they played that much better than they did against Old Dominion, I don't know. They struggled to get out of Williams-Brice with a win against Old Dominion and then absolutely just clobbered Kentucky. I watched most of that Kentucky game. It wasn't close. Kentucky was non-competitive, and I hate it for them. I actually don't. But I'm taking LSU. I think LSU is still a top 25 team. I know they lost to USC. It's kind of close, but I think they're better than South Carolina. This is the one I worried about picking all week because I don't have a good feeling about picking LSU because it's on the road. If it was in Death Valley, absolutely give me LSU. I'm a little on the edge about this one, especially with that half point, but I'm taking the Tigers. Who you got, Harbin?
Here's my thing. LSU went 9-3 last year with Jaden Daniels. Is that what they went? And everybody thought that their star player leaving, and you bring in a random white guy with a German last name, that they're going to be better than they were with the number 2 overall pick or just as good. I disagree. I don't think USC is very good. I don't think South Carolina is very good. And I just don't think LSU is very good either. I really don't. That being said, if LSU won this game 38-28, I would not be shocked whatsoever. However, if they won 24-21, I wouldn't be shocked either. This game's gross, and I will not put any of my hard-earned money on it whatsoever. But for the sake of this show, I'll take South Carolina to cover. I think it's ugly. I think there's some interesting plays in this game, just considering the 2 head coaches at hand. A small part of me is wanting South Carolina to win. 1, so they won't fire Shane Beamer, and 2, so I can see another Brian Kelly outburst because I think that's going to be really fun to see, and he may not survive this season, depending on how things go. Yeah, just This is awful. This is very gross. You're pointing at your hat, and I don't know why.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just hitting my
Okay.
head.
I didn't
I'm
know.
not
I didn't
pointing. No,
know. I didn't know if
no.
Stewart or Haas was from Columbia, South Carolina.
I, I can tell you neither Gene Haas nor Tony Stewart are from Columbia, South Carolina.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is just so gross. But yeah, South Carolina cover. You're catching more than a touchdown at home, and game day is going to be there. So for that reason, that's why I'm taking South Carolina. I think this is a battle of mid, though. I really do.
I was about to say these two teams are mid. Jake, who you got?
Another coin flip game for me. I'm taking LSU. I would like to see South Carolina get a slice of humble pie. I think they're a little higher on the horse. Somebody needs to knock them off. Beamer ball does not work unless he still signs, obviously. So I don't know. Give me LSU minus 7.5.
Yeah, I would. I don't really like either of the coaches in this game, but I would like to see Shane Beamer humbled the old country way.
Me and my family.
Yeah. I mean, Brian Kelly to LSU, I always wondered about how that was going to work because he's obviously a Yankee going to the deep South, Cajun country. And then when he changed his accent, like Kamala tries to change hers when she's in the hood, it just doesn't play well. And I don't know. I don't know how that marriage is going to work down there. I mean, he went 9-3 last year with a Heisman winning quarterback. What's he going to do without him? Still yet to be seen. Brian Kelly has a great track record. He's been a very successful head coach. I just don't know how that's going to work down there. We'll see. All right, bonus game, Harb. Trying to get you back into it here. This is a Friday night game. Not that you're that far out of it. And there's no bonus points. It's just a 6 game. I saw it. It's Friday night kickoff and thought, let's just throw it in there. Kind of an odd matchup. Number 20, Arizona at number 14, Kansas State. Kansas State's pulling 7 points. Who you got?
Kansas State really struggled with help me out here because we're recording on my phone and I can't look it up. Just look at one of you two.
I'll look it up.
Who they played last week. They struggled.
They played, let's see, they beat Tulane 34-27 at Tulane.
Yes. Thank you.
And,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, so I played golf Saturday with friends of the show, Zach Slagle, Tanner Humphrey, Blake Shelton, and Blake Shelton put a small little wager on Tulane, and he was feeling pretty good about himself while we were playing the latter part of our round. Tulane was up. By the time I got home, K-State had surged ahead. But you're right. I mean, they won by 7 points over Tulane. I don't know what Tulane's like, though. So let's see. Is that their
Tulane is a very solid group of 5 team.
Let's see. Kansas State beat UT Martin 41-6 to start the season. So, and that game was at Tulane this past weekend in rough weather. It was raining apparently.
And also, Arizona beat Northern Arizona 22-10. I didn't know Northern Arizona was a school. Maybe they're an affiliate of the University of Phoenix DeVry.
Northern Arizona, you see them in the NCAA tournament every now and then in basketball.
Northern Arizona.
I think so.
Please give me.
Oh, I'm thinking about Northern Iowa. My fault. Not even in the same region of the country.
Hey, you got the right country. It's okay. And they beat New Mexico to start the season 61-39. What'd you say the line was? 7?
I've got it at -7, Kansas State.
I love me a good dog. And a lot of people are very high on Arizona this year. I like Arizona to cover 7. I do. Am I confident in that? Absolutely not. This game is gross. The total in this game is set at 58.5. Just for fun purposes, I think it's going to go over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring matchup, kind of back and forth. May come down to who has the ball last. Do I get bonus points if I pick a push?
Yeah, I'll give you 1 bonus point if it pushes.
Okay, well, my official pick is Arizona to cover, but my secondary pick is a push. I think Kansas State wins 41-34.
I'll give you 2 bonus points and 2 Shroot bucks.
Whoa,
Maybe a Stanley nickel in
Wow.
there.
Oh,
I'm taking Kansas State.
Okay.
Just because it's at Bill Snyder Family Memorial Stadium or whatever it's called. Jake, who you got? I know nothing about these 2 teams.
Neither do I.
Arizona's got a really good wide receiver, I think, apparently.
Jaden McMillan.
Yes. Who you got, Jake? Sorry.
I'm taking Kansas State. Home game, ranked matchup. I would say some other things, but I don't know anything about these 2 teams other than the 2 games they've played and who they've beaten. It's going to be a game I do not touch personally, but for the sake of the show, I'll take Kansas State.
Who did Arizona beat, Harbin?
North Arizona, 22-10.
And that's it? That's all they beat?
New Mexico.
And New Mexico.
Oh, that's right. I watched part of the New Mexico game, and it was close there for a while.
I think Arizona's offense is pretty good. I don't know about the defense.
I like Kansas State's coach. He used to be at North Dakota State, won a bunch of football games there. I don't know if he'll ever win a national title at Kansas State, but he could be pretty successful. So that's our picks this week. We'll check back in.
Couple for Arizona, Nice.
Who they got?
At Kansas State and at Utah.
And then you got Texas Tech at home, at BYU, Colorado at home, West Virginia at home, at UCF.
That's funny.
Houston at home, at TCU, and then Arizona State. That's really not an easy schedule for Arizona.
Have you all looked at this week's schedule, by the way, before we move on?
Not good.
It's not good, but you're looking at it. You have Arizona, Kansas State, not a rivalry game, but a top 25 matchup. A couple others that caught my eye. Butch Jones is going up to the Big House, by the way. They're taking on Michigan. Memphis is at Florida State. Mike Norvell's old team, heading to Doak Campbell. I think Memphis State's supposed to be pretty good this year, aren't they? Aren't they in the contention for a Group of 5 playoff spot?
That's worth a sprinkle. That's for damn sure.
I think Tiger High's supposed to be okay.
Notre Dame's at Purdue. Interesting matchup. I don't know anything about Purdue. Where was the other one I looked at? There were some rivalry games. Washington State and Washington. The Apple Cup is early in the season since both teams moved conferences. That's interesting. West Virginia at Pittsburgh, another big rivalry game. The backyard brawl, I think is what they call that.
Eat shit, Pitt.
Here's another one. App State at East Carolina. Little North Carolina rivalry there. Let's see. I can't remember what they call this. I call it the Mormon Bowl. Utah at Utah State. It does have a name to it, and I can't remember what it is.
It's the Holy War.
Holy War. There you go. Yeah. Here's a basketball matchup. UConn at Duke.
Wait, the Holy War might be Utah BYU.
Yeah, you might be right. This may be the Mormon Bowl or something. I don't know. Florida International.
Did you already say Ole Miss, Wake Forest?
No, I hadn't got to that one yet.
Oh, well, that game is on the CW network.
Oh, home of the Xfinity Series now.
There you go.
It's coming on right after the Live tournament.
Here's Florida International at Florida Atlantic. A lot of rivalry games. It's odd. Jake mentioned Ole Miss at Wake Forest. UT San Antonio at Texas. There was one other one.
Can I say something? Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I want to take a moment to talk to all of our loyal listeners. I want to help y'all find financial freedom. Everybody. Some people have their Dave Ramsey. Some people have whoever.
Some people call JG Wentworth.
Yeah, 877 cash now. But you guys have me and the Georgia Bulldogs playing in Lexington, Kentucky, and you're only coughing up 24 Georgia points. That is financial freedom. That's financial freedom if I've ever seen it. Take a loan out, call your bank, put your damn house on the line, whatever you need to do. That's 31-6 written all over it. Or worse, hell, that's what South Carolina won by. You don't think Georgia's any better than South Carolina? Give me a damn break, man.
One other, you're right. One other, there's two more actually. Western Kentucky at MTSU, that's a rivalry game. This one intrigues me, one, because my current roommate is an Auburn grad, and they lost to California last week. And they're hosting New Mexico, and they're favored by 28. And I've seen New Mexico play twice this year. I'm not saying New Mexico wins. I think New Mexico might cover that line. I don't think Auburn's very good. And this is coming from some Auburn people. They're not very good. They're already grumbling about Mr. Freeze down there on the plains. So that's this week's games. Watch what you will. Last question. Does Tennessee cover? I think last I saw they were at 49. Do they cover? Take it?
Yes,
I
they
think
do.
so too. I would take it too. I haven't seen if they're on our pick sheet. I looked earlier today here on Tuesday, and the picks weren't out yet. So interested to see. I'm sure they'll be on there, but don't know what the lines are. Quickly, hater and losers. Do you guys have anybody?
I believe we do.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jake.
Everybody should know mine already because I ran a poll for it, but go ahead.
Well, I didn't see the poll. Sorry. But my hater and loser of the week is the Twitter/X accounts for North Carolina State. They thought they wanted some this week. They didn't. They do not now. They know who's boss. So that's my hater loser of the week. Don't have anything to add on that.
As the Iron Sheik would say, they got humbled the old country way, Bubba.
Yep.
They used the FanFo method, which you can use your mind and figure out what that stands for. Because I'm not allowed to say that on the air. But yeah, they messed around and found out. So
there you go. Who's your hater and loser, Harb? Do you have one?
I do. And I hate doing this because I know Jeff Harbin twitched a little bit when it happened. But it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It's
very good.
It's them. It is what it is. You paid $1.5 million for Northern Illinois to come to town when their coach literally got on his knees and begged the AD for his job, and he's a 45-year-old man with braces. And then I want to say yesterday or on Sunday, they got on Twitter and told recruits that they're like, hey, we're trying to fill out this recruiting cycle. If you're an O-line, D-line, or play corner, send us your tape. So they were literally getting huddle highlights on Twitter, and they beat Notre Dame 2 days before.
I hadn't seen. That's awesome.
For Northern Illinois, that is so good. For Notre Dame, that is the epitome of brutality. John Rothstein quote for those that follow him. So yeah, that's my hater and loser.
So, quick question: who gets more love from the national media, the Democrats or Notre Dame or Michigan, or Michigan?
In order?
It's a tough one because the media love all three. The sports media and the regular media, they love Notre Dame and Michigan.
Well, without getting political, I think that's tough because the Democrats kind of run the media. So I'd have to say Dems 1, Notre Dame 2, Michigan 3, and I don't feel good about putting Michigan 3 right there.
There you go.
We also have the debate going on to our left over here. So I got Camel over here spitting and sputtering in my ear.
How much has she been laughing?
I don't know. I'm trying to read the closed caption.
Yeah, I'm recording it. As soon as we get done, I'm gonna go watch it and dissect it and see what she's blabbering on about. So I had quite a few candidates But I narrowed it down to 2 and I put it up for a vote. My candidates were Will Levis / Kentucky, or lady. Well, I didn't say lady, but people falling asleep at a NASCAR race. So we were sitting there at the race Saturday, and a lady and her husband were row in front of us to the right. I look over in the middle of the second stage. This is not at home on the couch watching a race. I fall asleep at home watching a race. Take a little nap Sunday afternoon. She is full on asleep. She must have had Bose noise canceling headphones on. That's the only way. She did have Bose. She's out for like the whole second stage almost, which for those that don't know, that's 100 laps. And Parker, Buddy Walker's nephew that went with us, he also dozed off and went to sleep in the second stage. With as loud as it was, I don't know how you do that, but y'all do you. I was
If you're
saying,
gonna pick a
y'all.
stage, that's the one to do it though.
Yeah, true. I kept eating snacks, and there was no way I was falling asleep. But
were her headphones Bose or hose?
they were Bose.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was just making sure.
But the fans voted, all 8 of you that participated in the Twitter poll I put up, and said that Will Levis and Kentucky were the haters and losers of the week. They're more losers than haters, I would have to say. Kentucky losing to South Carolina 31-6. They were all fired up about Brock Vandergriff and that offensive line, man. You know, Gerald Mincy said a few weeks ago, they're going to go 10-0 this year. Don't they play 12, 13 games? And then Will Levis, we've said it. He's not good. He wasn't good at Kentucky. He's got a big arm. He looks good, apparently. But he eats anybody that puts mayonnaise in their coffee, you shouldn't trust him. And this guy, he sucks. I'll take it to the grave with me. Blake Shelton, if you're listening, he sucks. Titans made a terrible move picking him. He's not going to be good. Stop trying to make him in your mind be good, because he's not. That pick he threw where he was almost on his knees and shoveled it underhanded about 15 yards in the air. Well, what does he think? And then he puts his hands on his head like he's just shocked. I think he might be dumb. He might be dumb. And the reason I say that is there's a Twitter account, Callum_Vol, and he went back and posted a video of that third pick in the 2022 game that he threw against Tennessee when Danico Slaughter was one-on-one with whoever their wide receiver was, and he picked it off. And they went back to review it, and he was adamant that Danico dropped that football. When you watch it, it's clearly he didn't drop it. He runs out, has his whole offensive line come onto the field. They come on and say, not the call stands, the call is confirmed. And he's standing there looking at the sidelines just baffled. I just don't think Will Levis is a very smart guy. It's apparent by the way he plays on the field, and I get it. He's only played 10 NFL games, but I've seen enough. I saw enough in college to tell you that he wasn't going to cut it.
Well, and the fact that they lost that game to the Bears, I'm not a Titans fan. Everybody knows that. How you lose that game with Caleb Williams going like 14 of 29 for 98 yards, that's abysmal. The Bears offense scored 2 points.
Yes.
And it was extra points. That's it. It was awful. It was inexcusable because I almost bet on the Titans in that game. That's why I looked at it. I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. I was like, I just kind of feel like the Titans are a little bit better than them, which I think talent-wise, outside of rookies, I think they are. But there's no the Titans should have won that game by at least 10 points and they lost. So it may be a long season in Nashville.
We sat down at the track. Guy sitting next to my dad had the game on his phone. He was obviously a Chicago Bears fan because the race started, and I would just hear him next to me start moving around, clapping and going on. When we sat down, it was 17-3, and they lost 24-17. Just terrible. I'm glad I wasn't watching it. So, all right.
Nothing to add there, Niece. I'm as casual as an NFL fan as they come. If the Titans are playing well, great, but if they lose, it does not affect how my Sunday goes. However, with that being said, they are a bunch of hypocrites over there in Nashville because anytime Tennessee does something good, you'll see Tennessee Titans in their comments on Twitter, Instagram, or especially Tennessee football.
Yeah.
But then you look like you drafted probably the most hated player by our fan base. You just alienated a lot of the people that you want to come to your games and want to support your team. So I don't know. The marketing in Nashville is a little suspect in my
You
opinion.
know, I was torn on that because I did see it that way. I mean, but they got to draft who they think is best for them. But I mean, they label themselves as the state's team. I mean, obviously they call themselves Tennessee, not Nashville. And then I mean they were up at Smoky Stadium a couple weeks ago. They're a couple cheerleaders and T-Rex or whatever his name is,
I
the
was there.
raccoon. Yeah, that's right. Y'all were there. So you know, they obviously want fans from the West and the East, not just in Nashville. I mean, you go to a game though, and especially if they're playing a older, more established franchise, those fans are outnumbered in Nashville. I mean, I've been to Saints, a Bengals, a Colts, and a Broncos game there, and a Buffalo Bills. And every time I felt like there was more visiting fans there than Titans fans. But yeah, I get why they didn't draft Hooker because of his injury, but why not keep Tannehill another couple years and let Hooker stay under him? I don't know. I just don't think Levis is. I think they fell in love with his looks. I just really think they did. And they were hoping they could change him, and maybe Callahan can. I just don't buy it. I don't see it. But all right, fellas. Well, we're gonna cut it out of here. I know you guys need to go to bed. You got a big day tomorrow, so good luck to not only you, Jake, but Harbin. You got to guide him tomorrow. So
I got to do what I can. I got to do my part. And I don't need to do any more than that.
right.
So
That's
that's the balance of caddy life.
there you go. Well,
Hey, Nice, last question. Who you got winning the championship in NASCAR?
oh, that's a tough one. It's so hard because you just don't know what's going to happen every week. I think obviously the favorite's Larson. I kind of want to pick Blaney. Not just because not just because he drives a Ford, but it's going to be tough because he is going to have to go back to back. He's right there every week. And Larson seems to be snake bit a little bit right now. So he can't kind of get out of his own way. And Hamlin, everybody wants to pick Hamlin all the time. He's one of those guys. He might be Mark Martin. So yes, Harbin, your hand is raised.
Is Will Byron still in it?
Yes. All 16 are still in it.
He is my dark horse to win it.
Not a bad pick.
No.
He drives a 24. I was a Jeff Gordon fan growing up. So
they are at Watkins Glen this weekend, and I would say he's probably one of the top 5 favorites to win that race, if I had to guess. He's very good at road courses.
I will be putting roughly $10 of my hard-earned money on Will Byron to win that race.
What sucks is Bristol is next week, but it's at the same time Tennessee's playing Oklahoma.
Tell me about it. I got
that
tickets.
Sucks. Oh no.
Yeah.
You might have to set up 2 TVs in here to watch it. So
I don't know how good the Wi-Fi is inside the track at Bristol, but we're gonna put it to the test maybe.
Maybe
I
they'll
also
put
have Larson to win championship, by the way. Best race car driver in the world. He's taking it home.
He is. Man, that was a hard hit he took on Saturday. I don't know what happened or Sunday.
Something had to have broke.
Boy, my Stuart Haas guys, y'all. For those listening, I've got a Stuart Haas hat on, and they're going away, so I had to buy the hat. But boy, they struggled Sunday. They were nowhere to be seen. I looked up at one point. Ryan Preece was 3/4 of a lap behind everybody else. But anyways, fellas, appreciate you coming on. Jake is our guest picker and guest this week, so we'll have somebody different on next week. We'll figure out who that is between now and we'll hopefully be back Sunday night. Thank you to everybody who listens or watches us. We're getting a lot of watches on YouTube, Harbin, right now. So I think we've hit triple digits the last couple weeks on all of our shows, especially with the Bowden episode is our most watched YouTube episode. So I know Jordan's over in Singapore right now, so he won't hear this, but well, maybe he will. But Jordan,
That should be our most watched episode.
you would think
It should be.
it just passed the last year's Florida the episode after the Florida game, which had 490 views or something like that. I think last I looked, we were up to like 520 for Jordan, plus the audio version. So appreciate everybody listening. Viewership, listenership slowly ticking up. So if you're on campus this weekend, I don't know what tailgating is going to look like yet. I'm kind of watching the weather. It's supposed to rain this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, but hopefully it doesn't rain us out from tailgating a little bit Saturday night before the game. So if you're coming down there and want to hang out with us for a little bit, text me or Harbin. Harbin, are you going Saturday?
I will not be there, unfortunately.
Never mind.
I'll be in Cartersville, Georgia, but Jake has my tickets this week, so text Jake.
Text Jake if you're coming by. Don't text Harbin. He won't be there. Or text me or tweet us or DM us or something. And we'll let you know. I don't know what we're kind of just going to watch the weather and see how hard it's raining to see where we go. So we'll be down there at some point. Don't know what time yet. Still trying to figure all that out. So if you're down there, come hang out with us, see us, have a chocolate milk with us pregame. And then we'll go in and watch us. What? Then we'll go in and beat the Golden Flashes and go to 3-0. Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack. They wound up in a body bag, Harbin.
They did wind up in a body bag. That was fun.
All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of the week. Maybe we'll see you guys on Saturday. For Jake and Harbin, I'm Negative Niece. We'll see you guys next week on the Section YY8 podcast.